Ну как так? Тебе взяли, предложили просто так убивать людей? Просто так не предлагают никому убивать людей.
Нет, я в телеграмме урок учился.
Кто задержал?
Урок.
Что в телеграме?
Урок.
Проповедника слушал?
Да, ее помощник мне написал.
Как помощника зовут?
Не знаю, без имя, без фамилии, без ничего мне написал, только
Когда он тебе написал?
он где-то месяц назад.
Что он написал конкретно?
Он написал, короче, он где-то 1 миллион рублей обещал.
Стреляет из автомата. Стреляет в толпе. Какие-то люди стреляют.
The images are just horrible, just hard to watch, and our thoughts obviously are going to be with the victims of this terrible shooting attack. And I think, you know, you look at that video if you have, and you got to recognize that there's some moms and dads and brothers and sisters and sons and daughters that haven't gotten the news yet, and this is going to be a tough day. So our thoughts are with them.
Good evening, I'm John Yang. Across Russia today, TV entertainment shows and commercials were suspended. Cultural events were canceled and flags were lowered to half-staff. It's all to mark a national day of mourning for the 137 victims of the concert hall massacre in suburban Moscow. Russian President Vladimir Putin lit candles. A makeshift memorial near the burned-out concert hall has become a huge mound of flowers. Some of the 11 detained suspects were taken to the headquarters of Russia's Criminal Investigation Agency for questioning. Several of them have been charged with acts of terrorism. All the while, family and friends are desperate for word about loved ones still missing.
Они информацию никакую не дают.
At the hotline, they don't give any information. Even now, I was driving from the hospital, but I couldn't go home. I couldn't be alone anymore. It's very difficult, so I drove to my friends. Now, at least, I'll be with someone.
The Moscow Health Department says it's begun identifying the dead using DNA. They say that process will take at least 2 weeks. And as Putin blames Ukraine for the attack without offering any evidence, a barrage of Russian missiles hit targets in Kyiv and farther west today. It was the third missile attack on Ukraine in the past 4 days. A Russian cruise missile briefly strayed about a mile into Polish airspace, triggering the activation of NATO and Polish F-16 fighter jets. And Nigeria's military says 137 of the nearly 300 school children kidnapped more than 2 weeks ago have been released. Pictures show them looking tired, covered in dust, and still wearing the school uniforms they had on when they were abducted. 2 days ago, 17 children taken from another school were rescued. Recent abductions have been concentrated in northwestern and central Nigeria, carried out by groups seeking ransom money. Since 2014, at least 1,400 Nigerian school children have been kidnapped. Still to come on PBS News Weekend, the effect the Israel-Hamas war is having on education in Gaza. And fighting between rebels and the Congolese army sparks fears of a regional war.
Total eclipses occur when the moon passes directly between the Earth and the sun, blocking solar light. Since 1900, only 12 have touched the U.S. mainland, most of them only glancingly. On average, a total solar eclipse will happen where you live only once every 375 years. Why are they so rare? Well, the sun is about 400 times larger than the moon, but the sun is also 400 times farther away, so the two bodies appear about the same size to us on Earth. The moon orbits the Earth once each month, so why doesn't its shadow touch the Earth, causing an eclipse with each pass? Partly because the moon's orbit is tilted slightly, which causes its shadow to miss the Earth most of the time. But it's also because the moon's orbit is elliptical. For much of its path, the moon is farther away from Earth and appears too small to block out the sun completely. Those eclipses are called annular. Only when the eclipse occurs at the moon's closest approach is a total eclipse possible. Even then, the narrow band of totality usually tracks over water or away from population centers. That's why this eclipse on April 8th is so special. As it crosses the Texas border at about 1:27 p.m. local time, cities closest to the center of the path, like Waco, Cleveland, and Buffalo, could witness up to 4 minutes or more of darkness. In all, 31 million U.S. residents live in the path of the eclipse. Even if you don't live in the path of totality, most of the U.S. will experience some level of darkness. It's a 2-hour spectacle that you don't want to miss, because the next total solar eclipse to hit the U.S. mainland won't be until 2044.